So welcome to all my friends. Today we are going to discuss that is wire cut electrical discharge machining process. It is the type of thermal based energy non-traditional machining processes. So every process is having some principles. So that's why here also same principle like EDM machines. Only one modified point is that is a wire cut electric discharge machining. So wire it is the one of the tool is used to cutting purpose in the same EDM machining process. So wire cut by using wire to generate the arc or spark for removing the material. So that's why it is called as wire cut electric discharge machining. So it shortly says WEDM. Now principle is also same. This is the thermal based non-traditional machining process which works on the basis of spark erosion is used to cut the material by using wire. So I said that WEDM and EDM that process working is almost same, only construction is different and only one technical point is additional, that is a wire cut. Okay, so next we'll see the setup of WEDM means wire cut electro discharge machining process. Now here just observe this block diagram as similar like this, only one additional part is here like these rollers. So what is that rollers? We'll see one by one. Okay, as similar to EDM process, there is a one of the container filled with the dielectric fluid as fixture mounted on the workpiece to hold the workpiece, that is a fixture. Then again it required pump, then filter, there is a one of the line is connected to the nozzle. So why that nozzle and these lines are provided, so whatever dielectric fluid is passing through the pump means low level to high pressure level, so that is a function of pump. Then it passes through the filter to remove the impurities burr like or raw material. Then it passes through this nozzle, I mean so of hose. Hose is nothing but a pipeline. So that nozzle at the end to flush the high jet of velocity of the dielectric fluid. So now here there is a workpiece, and I already said that workpiece is always connected to the positive anode and cutting tool. But here cutting tool, that means nozzle or this wire. So wire as a negative terminal, that is known as a tool or cathode. So similar working, but in 2D diagram it is not visible properly to see this circular block. So what is the exact? The in this process spark gap is also required for that wire diameter is 0.3 mm or 0.2 mm likewise. So that slot is needed for that wire purpose. So initially we require that slot, otherwise this process cannot work. So now this is the workpiece, this is the cutting tool, and this is the DC supply is also unit is provided. Okay, that's why to generate the electrical arc. Now when DC supply is on, so that current is passed through this wire. So that wire as a cutting tool means which materials are there. So that material should be conductive. So or electrode like copper, tungsten, etc. So these rollers are provided for the feeding this wire continuously and rewind it. But you have to remember that wire cannot reuse again. So this is the main disadvantage of these processes. So when this wire is continuously feeding, so that nozzle continuously flushing the dielectric fluid here. And similarly, it's that voltage is breakdown voltage. That supply is always breakdown at discrete means continuously breaks are there. So in 1 second, thousands of pulses are generated. So thus, ionize is takes place. That gap is takes place like this. So wire from this wire, so that electrons move towards the workpiece, and that workpiece, so that spark is takes place. And when spark is take place means that allow to pass the current, so that's why generate the arc, and that arc is generated to remove the material and then again break this arc. That period, that dielectric fluids again come to this gap, and then whatever material removal then can throw away the dielectric fluid. Then again to generate the pulse in the electric arc, that negative ions get toward the positive workpiece, and thus to allow the current supplied means to generate the arc. So such process continuously work. So that's why to remove the material. But in this process, so to just that setup is very simple. So to only additional part, that rollers are provided for feeding the wire. So next we'll see the construction. So again similar construction. Four main operating systems of wire cut electrical discharge machining. So first, servo mechanism. Servo mechanism. That mechanism is provided for to control the wire feeding. Then dielectric fluid, already explained in electro discharge machining processes. So dielectric fluid, it is the fluid having a property as a conductor, also insulator. It depends on the voltage supply. Then electrode as a nothing but cutting tool, that may be conductive material like tungsten or copper wire is used. Then this process is controlled by machine control unit, because when this process main advantage is that to produce the complex shape. So that purpose, that path is defined in the workpiece, that controlled by CNC, computerized numerical control, that is also controlled by the programming method. So that's why machine control unit is there. So that is a construction. Now working. So similar working as the EDM process, it was on the base of spark erosion by using wire. Then it uses a wire about 0.3 mm diameter as an electrode or tool. And similar gap between workpiece and cutting tool is 0.5 mm. Then the wire is continuously moved at the constant speed through the workpiece. A dielectric fluid is constantly flushed in the area of machining. When the machine tool is switched on, the sparks are generated between the tool and workpiece. When the spark comes in contact with the dielectric fluid in gap, the fluid gets ionized and it allows the current to flow between the tool and workpiece. Next, heat generated during the sparking processes result in melting of workpiece. Finally, that heat is generated, means sparking is generated in melting of workpiece. These melted particles of the metal are thrown away by dielectric fluid in order to create desired shape of the workpiece, and that position should be controlled by the CNC method. Then every process has like process parameters. So discharge current, because material removal rate totally depends on the discharge current. Then pulse duration, is increase in pulse duration result in more MRR. So process parameter always said to the vice versa, when increase the rate, when decrease the rate, so what happen? Now pulse frequency, material removal rate increases with pulse frequency. Now cutting rate, the wire speed is in the range of 2.5 to 150 mm per second. So you have to remember just approximate figure. The cutting rate depends upon the thickness of workpiece. And one more important point, in when wire feeding is there, so wire should be always in the proper tension. So that's why here wire tension, the appropriate wire tension should be maintained in order to keep the wire should be straight. So that purpose series of rollers are provided. Now dielectric fluid. The supply of dielectric should be continuous and enough to allow the sparking. And we already known that what are the dielectric fluids? That is paraffin oil, transformer oil, kerosene, distilled water. Like next, advantages. As similar almost advantages to the EDM processes, so straight hole can be produced to close tolerance. In wire is straight or in tension, that's why straight holes can be produced. But in EDM, there may be chances to slightly taper. So there is a main advantage of WEDM. As a NC unit is used, means numerical control is used for the attending the longer period of time of the machining. Then high degree of accuracy and good surface finish can be obtained. As conventional or as compared to EDM process, that process gets good surface finish can be obtained. Very sharp angles can be cut with almost no radius. It's exact sharp corner to corner cutting is possible. Now EDM eliminates the need of post machining, heat treating and possible part distortion. That part should be avoided in WEDM. And there is a common advantage, it produces as a burr free operation. Now, similar disadvantages, wire cannot be reused because due to sparking that wire no longer remains round. If proper tension in wire is not maintained, the surface finish will be poor because that wire gets vibrates. So like drilling machine, when drilling machines are more vibration, so that hole should be not concentric or should be required oversized curve. So similarly here, then third, only electrical conductive materials can be machined. It is common disadvantage of the EDM and WEDM, also laser, not laser, only EDM and WEDM, only conductive materials can be machined. Then residual stresses are induced in the workplace during machining. The maximum depth of workpiece which can be machined is around 90 mm. So maximum depth can be workpiece is around 90 mm. It depends on the capacity or specification of machine. A hole is necessary in a large workpiece for machining of surface which are not at the edges. Not at the edges. Okay. Then applications of WEDM. So similar application, but in WEDM straight hole should be produced. So punch and dies used in press tool can be made. Means whatever precise operations can be done by these processes. For production of mold and dies, similarly as a casting, whatever products are required, that products or parts should be produced by this WEDM method and is used to cut out complex counter in electrically conductive workpiece. Means any complex shape can be made by this process. Then cylindrical pins as small as 5 mm in diameter can be machined. Means any cylindrical parts can be machined as this dimension. Thank you.